from Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 27th, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.40 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,220 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $29, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,912. Antiwar.com reports 65 years after the 1953 armistice that stopped the open fighting of the Korean War, the nations involved still have not replaced it with a permanent peace treaty. This means that the Korean War is still technically ongoing 68 years later. That's apparently where the U.S. intends for it to stay. While North and South Korea have discussed deals to end the war, the U.S. nominally has given its imprimatur to the idea. U.S. officials say that there is little interest in the Trump administration to actually do this, with some seeing it as undermining their leverage against North Korea on denuclearization. This would be a complicated matter this time, unlike the decades of previous U.S. resistance to making peace with North Korea. That's because now South Korea is also on board for such a deal. In trying to delay such an important milestone, the U.S. may be seen as obstructing diplomacy in general. A spokesman for the U.S. State Department said as much, that the U.S. has committed to building a peace mechanism with the goal of replacing the armistice agreement when North Korea has denuclearized. It's not clear the world will want to wait, however. North Korea's state media says that ending the war is an important first step because of the history of extreme hostility on the border. The North Korean Foreign Ministry is also criticizing a recent U.S. delegation for not mentioning the idea of peace. South Korean officials have talked of the idea of reaching a peace deal this year, and China is open to participating in the process. Though the U.S. is a major belligerent within the Korean War and would be needed for peace, being the lone holdout would be seriously embarrassing. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. UPI reports a bipartisan group of senators proposed a bill Thursday that is aimed at preventing President Donald Trump from exiting the North Atlantic Treaty Organization without the Senate's consent. Senators John McCain, Cory Gardner, Jack Reed, and Tim Kaine presented the legislation, which says that the president may only withdraw from NATO pursuant to the advice and consent of the Senate, provided that two-thirds of the senators concur or pursuant to an act of Congress. In the past, President Trump has threatened to withdraw from NATO if the other member countries do not increase their share of the organization's defense budget. Only 5 of the 29 member nations spend the agreed-upon 2% of their GDP on their military, leading Trump to criticize them as freeloaders. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the Trump administration must face a lawsuit by states and advocacy groups over its plan to ask people who are filling out the 2020 census form whether they are U.S. citizens, according to a federal judge's ruling on Thursday. U.S. District Judge Jesse Furman in Manhattan denied the administration's motion to dismiss the lawsuit, which is backed by 18 states and the District of Columbia. A Commerce Department spokesman said in a statement that the department was pleased the court found that Secretary Ross has broad authority over the census and was confident it would ultimately prevail in the case. The states, cities, and organizations seeking to block the question have said it could lead to undercounting in states with large immigrant populations, jeopardizing their political representation and access to federal funding. The Commerce Department said in March that Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross decided to add the citizenship question after the Department of Justice requested it in order to better enforce federal voting laws. Furman said in Thursday's decision that there was evidence that Ross's stated reason was pretextual. The census, mandated by the U.S. Constitution, is conducted every 10 years and counts every resident in the United States. The census is used to determine the distribution of billions of dollars in federal funds to local communities and the allocation to states of seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.